Hello and welcome to the next Lukozer retro game review video. Now I have been doing retro reviews now for about 4.5 years, and I have spent a good 4 years putting off doing this. I've been asked countless times and I usually ignore them, but the time has come. So for this one it is Afterburner. What joy! So rather like Street Fighter, I'm going to be reviewing the European and the US versions of this conversion. So this is the European one, which was released in 1988. So this was made by Dalali Software. No, I haven't either. And was published by Activision in 1988. Keep that in mind when you see it playing. I mean, I say that, surely everyone has seen what a fucking shitfest this game is already. Now, because this channel is aimed at the intelligentsia and not the masses, I'm sure you've figured out by now that if I'm doing a conversion which is utter shite, I will always feature an extract of the coin-op original being played. I did it with hard driving, I did it with Stun Runner, with G-Lock and with Rygar. I really should have done it with what's the other, Galaxy Force. But I'm not going to do it this time because I've already done a review of the arcade coin-op. So yeah, if you want to see a comparison, I've already done the video there. I may put a link to it in the description of this. Now, I did test the arcade coin-op original. It's an unplayable sack of shit. And it's purely all about the experience of playing the game in the deluxe cabinet. But once you take that away, what you are left with is an unplayable load of bollocks, where they basically have to crank up the speed so much in order to hide the graphical shortcomings that the Sega Wideboard games were already starting to display at this point. But it didn't work, because if you crashed, which you did a hell of a lot, or got shot down or whatever, you got to see all of the horrendous 2D bitmaps in all their fucking blocky glory. I'm not saying, you know, they were horrendously blocky, but there were times when they were so blocky you'd think that they'd been rendered by a fucking Commodore 64. Anyway, I can't put this off too much longer. You've already got a pretty good idea of the quality we're talking about here with this intro page. I mean, okay, they have actually attempted to make it look a bit like the coin-op here, with the blitter objects, you know, showing the two. But it just looks like shit. Surely the Commodore 64 could render blitter objects, or bobs, you know, whatever you want to call them. Oh well. Right, if you haven't seen this before, because you've lived under a rock for the last 50 odd years, all I can say is brace yourself. Here we go. So this, believe it or not, is the graphical highlight, taking off. So as you can see, your aircraft, which is an F-14, is built by Lego. And here we are. Now all of these, okay, so I got shot down straight away, what a surprise. Now all of these like targets you can see in the background, they are aircraft. They seem to take a fucking age to actually get into range. And again, so your cannons fire constantly or automatically, and the fire button fires your missiles. Once you get a lock on, which, yeah, that large square in the background there tells me that I've got a lock on, you can then fire the missile and it will destroy whatever it was. Now, that's the third life I've lost, but for some reason I'm going on the assumption that where it has the speed bar in the bottom left, underneath that is the number of lives. So I've made it to level 2, lucky old me. So yeah, I assume that yeah, they are your lives, but they never go down. And I don't know if it's my disc image or what, but if you take a look at the review that Ganstead did of this game, I now have to, instead of evading an enemy aircraft, which it is in the arcade original, I'm now evading an enemy missile. So I'm able to outrun enemy missiles. I think whoever developed this conversion watched the film Firefox a bit too many times. You know, oh, okay. I thought I was going to get shot down then, but no. No. And now the third one. This should be the last one. Right, so that should be the last one for this level. Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, if you see the Ganstead review of this game, which is, I think he did it about 3 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago, so I've got on to the next level. The same thing happens in his. He's losing lives left, right and centre, but they never disappear off of his, you know, the lives count there. So I don't know if we're getting, you know, fuck knows how many extra lives or what, or if it's just the disc image is fucked. Frankly, I mean, I'm never going to play this fucking shit pile again, so it really doesn't matter. I mean, look at it. And you know, okay, every time I do a conversion of a, you know, or review a conversion of a Sega Wideboard game, or, you know, other, you know, overly ambitious arcade conversions, I always say the same thing, just for a change. But here, I mean, it really does apply, even more so than any of the others. Right? Activision, did they take a look at this and say, yes, that's it, that's got it fucking bang on, this is going to sell shitloads, everyone is going to be so fucking impressed with how good it looks and how great it fucking sounds, and the fucking playability is just off the scale. Is that really what they said? Compared to this, the coin-op original is one of the most playable and addictive games ever created. So I got shot down there, and fuck knows what actually hit me. I didn't fucking see anything. So right, again I'll try firing the missiles. Half the time I seem to fire missiles, but I can't actually see them firing on screen. The only way I know that they've been launched is because one of the missiles from the display there in the bottom right disappears. You don't see the missile anywhere on the screen unless you've got that lock on. They fired fuck knows how many missiles at me just then, and every single one fucking missed, even though I didn't move. And alright, now I've got an aircraft behind me. Right, how the fucking hell am I supposed to get past this cunt? By blowing up, I guess. Again, I've lost a life, but the lives aren't disappearing off here. I haven't got any trainers running because there aren't any trainers on this disc image I've got. Presumably because whoever it was who cracked the game just thought, look, there is no fucking point at all of putting trainers on this fucking shit pile because no one's going to play it. And of course they were right. Apart from cunts like me who come along a few years later. Well, 31 years later. Right, so what level are we on now? Who fucking cares? Level 5. Oh, it looks like we're approaching a runway. But, oh, here we go. Right, we even land. Cool. Oh, look how shit that looks. We even get to see the good old, well, I think that was meant to be the outrun car. They didn't even get the colours right. It was fucking white there. Well, that actually did class as a stage. So we're now on to stage 6. Oh dear, I got blown up again. But anyway, let's get the review underway. The graphics are absolute fucking... and they are just utter fucking bollocks from start to finish. Everything is staggeringly blocky. If you fire a shot at an enemy and you are below the horizon, and likewise any of the enemy shots, as you've just clearly seen there, they have huge blocks around them which is the same colour as the sky. So it looks more like fucking software sprites from a VIC-20 than a fucking Commodore 64 game that was released in 1988. Audio, there are no sound effects of any kind. The music, I've heard quite a few people say, oh, the music is actually pretty good, it's the only good thing about it. No, it isn't. The music is, alright, it's not the worst I've heard on a Commodore 64, you know, it's not old Jim Cuomo, but it's fucking awful. And it just goes on and on and on. Oh, like the whole fucking game does. And then the gameplay. Well, to say this game is an unplayable fucking load of shite is a masterpiece of understatement. The coin-op original, I say, is as playable as fucking, I don't know, Space Invaders, which was, you know, pure playability. But yeah, the coin-op original of this was like Space Invaders compared to this fucking thing. This is unplayable fucking horseshit. And the fact that I just don't seem to lose any lives, no matter how many times I'm fucking blown out of the sky, it's just the final fucking insult. I'm now actively trying to get myself killed. Okay, I finally got shot down, but still no lives left. So, right, if I just sit here and not bother playing it as I finish off here. Right, okay, press fire. Oh, here we go. So, yeah, to summarise then, it is an utterly fucking hideous shit pile. The sound is staggeringly grating, and it is just totally unplayable. Oh, what a fucking load of shite this thing is. But it doesn't surprise anyone, does it? I mean, who the fuck looked at the coin-op original of Afterburner and thought, right, we've definitely got to convert that to 8-bit home computers. We can do a decent job of that, I know it. I mean, I don't know how much Activision paid for the license for this conversion. But I mean, the CEO must have been fucking off his head. And why would anyone even entertain the idea of converting this to a Commodore 64? So anyway, so this was the best that Activision or whoever the fuck it was who actually coded it for them could do. And yeah, as you can see, it's shit. This gets 0 out of 10. It's just absolutely fuck all worthless. It's a completely pointless exercise. It was never going to work. It's just complete arse gravy. So that's the European version. Coming up now, let's see how the US version compares. Well, here we are then with the US version of Afterburner. Lucky old us. So this one was created by Weebee Games and was published by Sega themselves. So on the surface you'd think, well, this one may not be quite so bad. You know, Sega themselves published it. Bearing in mind that Konami themselves published their conversions of Nemesis and Jailbreak. Now, what you are hearing is easily the highlight of the game. This music is by Your Own Tell, Maniacs of Noise, and well, by his standards I think it's piss poor, but it is still by far the best thing about this fucking game. I mean, obviously, you know, it is a C64 rendition of, you know, one of the pieces of music from the Coin-Op soundtrack, but it's played way too slow. It's, yeah, I don't quite know why he did that. It's also fairly quiet, so I'm not sure how well it's going to be heard on this video. Believe me, you're really not missing that much if you can't hear it too well. Anyway, let's get this fucking shitstorm underway. So the game's a multi-load. The initial load is fairly long, but it's not quite too, quite so bad once you actually start the game. So here we are. Well, it looks more impressive than the European version. It still don't look great. So you press fire to start. And here we are. And it's silent. Totally silent. Until you start pressing fire or the enemy aircraft eventually show up. Now this plays somewhat differently to the European version. Your aircraft does not fire the cannon straight away. you do have to press fire, and it doesn't auto fire. You have to keep repeatedly hitting the fire button to fire more than one shot. I'm sure that's exactly how F-14 Tomcat cannons worked. You notice that I haven't used any missiles yet. They are in this version, but yeah, I haven't used them at the moment. I also don't know how well it's picking it up in this video, but the graphics around your aircraft are unbelievably flickering. It looks like it's like constantly vibrating or something. It looks fucking horrible. So anyway, yeah, when you get a missile lock in this version, you don't get the rectangle appearing. The enemy aircraft flash white, which you've seen a few times now. And in order to then launch a missile, well, there's two ways of doing it. The easy but somewhat annoying way, which is press space, or the really fucking awkward way, which involves pushing down and then quickly pressing fire again as you release down, or at least it's something like that. And it's such a fiddly way of doing it that I can't get it to work. So I've got a lock, and that was me firing the missile, and again, so I don't know how well it shows on the screen. I can barely see it. And we finally get through level 1. The levels go on for a hell of a lot longer than they do in, well, the European conversion and the coin-op original. And stage 2 now loads. So here we are again. Now I can't do this review for very long because that flickering is fucking doing me no favours at all. So let's get the review underway. Graphically, well, it's a lot better than the European version. It actually does fill up the screen. There's no fucking shitty pointless border, which I fucking hate, as I think I've just been shot down. I also don't know if I'm flying over a sea of fucking nuclear waste, or if they are just a lot of very small, well, not even mountains, are they? They're more like fucking hills, but very pointed ones. So yeah, they look a bit shit. So the backgrounds, just like the European version, are very basic, very shit. The graphics on the aircraft are a million times better than they are on the European version. And that's all aircraft, you know, your own jet and the enemy aircraft. In terms of audio, the music is far from being one of your own tel's best, but it, again, absolutely fucking pisses over the music in the European version. The sound effects in the game, well, at least it does actually have some. They are very basic, and if you're not firing and there are no enemy aircraft around, it's completely silent. So yeah, although it does have sound effects, they are not very good. And the gameplay, it's actually more playable than the coin-op original. It's infinitely more playable than the European conversion. But it's just not an interesting game. I mean, yes, you can instantly recognise it as Afterburner, but it does play very differently, and that is most definitely a good thing. So yeah, it's superior to the European version in every single way. and I could even say that playing it, it's superior to the coin-op original. But that does not mean it's a good game. I'm bored of this already, and the fact that, you know, each go you get 10 lives means I suspect most people who play this will be bored before game over appears. I mean, it's, yeah, pretty tedious stuff. So I score this, fuck it, let's just get myself killed. So I scored this US version 3 out of 10, which certainly means, you know, it's vastly superior to the coin-op original, let alone the European conversion. So there we go. That is Afterburner. The European version gets 0 out of 10 and frankly can fuck off as soon as it likes. The US version, 3 out of 10. It's more playable than the coin-op original, but it's not something you are ever going to want to play more than once. And as you can see here, even playing it all the way through once until you get to the game over screen is pushing it a bit. So that'll do. That brings this review mercifully to an end, and we'll see you at the next one.